What's going on, guys? If you clicked on this video in hopes of figuring out if the Sony FX6 was perfect for you in 2025, then you are in the right place. Before we jump into it, guys, if you don't mind liking this video and subscribing to my channel, 2025, I told myself I was gonna release more content, more media content specifically, just speaking in areas where I'm personally more knowledgeable. So with that said, let's just jump right into it. If you're trying to figure out in 2025 if the FX6 is perfect for you, like I said, you're in the right place. Speaking for me personally, I love the FX6. It's a really cool camera. It gives you all the bells and whistles that you pay for. It's not the cheapest camera, but it most definitely gets the job done. My FX6 purchase was very recent. It was late of 2024, I think maybe November or December. So I haven't really been in it that long, but I can tell you what I've learned so far. So off bat, the few things that I've learned about the FX6, which most people may know, are just, what makes it so dope. And I think number one is kind of like the ND filters. A lot of people, they get the FX6 and they say, yo, it's so easy, I have the built-in ND filters, which is great because I'm pro ND filter all day. I absolutely agree. In certain situations, you just need an ND filter, so that's just what it is. So seeing as though the FX6 comes with it built in, that's just, it's top notch, especially for pro creators. But what I will say is, I don't think that, for me personally, the ND filter is just a huge selling point. When I'm about to make a big purchase, especially, investments for my company, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I do a lot of research to see what's gonna be the best for me. A lot of comparison videos. The ND filter thing was on the top of everyone's list, so I just wanted to give a different perspective. For me, my favorite camera off bat is the Sony a7S III. That's where I transitioned from the Sony a7S III right to the FX6. And I was always in situations where I did have to, unscrew my ND filter and place it on another lens, but it wasn't always that difficult. You gotta compare how much you're willing to spend versus the time that you're willing to spend, on set or even just prepping for your shoot. If you don't mind just screwing on the ND filter in between shots or even just preparing yourself with multiple ND filters, if you do the math, versus what you would spend for an FX6, just having multiple ND filters, which they could range, I think the good ones probably start at like $100. So if you have your top 3 or 4 lenses, that's, about $400 compared to, trying to go so heavy on the FX6 when you don't really necessarily need it. So for a long time, I didn't mind using ND filters on my a7S III. I still don't mind. Like I said, the selling point for the FX6 wasn't the ND filters for me. It just wasn't. For a long time, I just held out on my a7S III. I feel like the quality of the work is there, the picture is there, the specs are there, and most of the things that I can do on the S3, I can do on the FX6. So I'm gonna tell you why I got the FX6. I would say the FX6 is perfect for someone who's looking to level up their kit, level up their look. I think a lot that comes behind the FX6 is the look of it. I feel like personally, I could have thugged it out with my S3s a lot longer, and I still can. There's a lot of things that I still choose to shoot, with my S3s over my FX6, but for where I was in my career, I'm shooting a lot of corporate conferences and corporate events and, a lot of storytelling. So things like that, I prefer to use my FX6. And as crazy as it sounds, it's for the look. Like I said, I could have kept going with the a7S IIIs, but for the settings that I'm in, my FX6 looks professional. It looks a lot better. The build of it looks great. And a lot of people aren't knowledgeable about these cameras. So when they see a bigger camera, it just makes them take you more seriously. And it sucks. It's kind of shallow, but it's a part of the game, So for where I am, like I said, I'm shooting a lot of things where I'm there, 8 to 12 hours, and I'm filming entire events, and I have to film from multiple angles. So me personally, I love to put the FX6 on sticks on a tripod and roam around with my a7S IIIs. So either a handheld a7S III or a gimbal a7S III, or sometimes both. That's my direction. So if you're watching this video, you're like, oh man, should I get the FX6? I think you should get the FX6 when it requires you to have a certain look for your business and for your brand. And be honest with yourself. If you're not there yet, don't scale yet. This is not a cheap camera. It's not something that I just went out and bought. If I could have had it years ago, I probably would have had it, 2 or 3 of them. So watch comparison videos. I watch a lot of comparison videos, and like I told you, my favorite camera, and it has been for the last couple years, is the A7S III. When I got it, I fell in love with it. I'm still in love with it to this day. I feel like they put so much in one body. You know, that's probably why it's not an A7S IV yet. I have no idea, but I'm still getting a great image. I'm still loving everything that this camera produces. And that's my guy, that's my go-to guy. But when I wanna look good and when I wanna look professional and I want my team to look good and my brand to look good in certain environments, I pick up my FX6 because people automatically see you with it and they trust you. You gotta understand, when people are paying you certain amounts of dollars, they have this trust in you. They wanna be able to trust your opinion and your skill set, and they don't know much about, you know, these cameras, but when they see you with a camera of, you know, this size, it allows them to gain more trust. It's like, okay, well, maybe he does know what he's doing, you know? So it plays into the thing where I said, it's just more so the look of it. It's not necessarily like I was sold more so of the picture, and I'm not here to compare specs, but if you look at the specs between the A7S III and the FX3 and the FX6, it's not really that much of a difference, but this camera allows you to look different in certain situations. Another thing that people like to glorify is the XLR ports on the actual FX6. And I don't want this video to bash the FX6 because I love it. Like I said, I haven't had it that long, but this is a really good camera. And I feel good when I'm holding it. It feels good in my hand, from a top handle, from a side handle perspective. And even when I'm, you know, I'm in the field, I feel like I'm sniping, you know what I'm saying? It's a really good look to it. And that's why I said I feel like, you know, when people see you with it, they take you a lot more seriously. But people are really sold on the XLR ports. And like I said, it was genius to put it in the camera. I love it. I don't have a problem with it. But like I said, you have to compare, you know, what you're willing to put up with price-wise and time-wise. For me, like I said, another reason why I wasn't so in a rush to scale is because of the way I use my audio system when I'm working live events, like when I need actual audio. So I use my DJI Mic 2s and I go straight into the board. So I'll go straight into the board, I'll record, and I actually do have well, there's only one in here, but I have the XLR out for my DJI mic. So I would typically plug this guy in, attach this straight to the board, and I can record internally inside this. And I can also attach this, you know, directly to the camera jack on my A7S III, which I'm recording right now, and I can record straight into the camera. So there's different ways. I'm pretty sure there's a female out that could go directly into this, directly into the line 1 or 2 input on the FX6, but that's typically how I handle my audio. So a lot of people were like, you know, I need that XLR output, but me personally, I handle my audio a lot differently. And with the DJI Mic 2s, I'm able to record internally. So it gives me the safe point. So not only am I recording into the camera, I'm recording into these and I'm getting it directly from the board. So I wasn't as pressed to, you know, run straight to this feature. Like I said, just like the ND filter, it wasn't necessarily like a huge selling point. My selling point has just been the look of the FX6. That's really what it is. It's just the look of it. So if you're in a point of your career where look is everything, where you're in rooms that are big, they're bigger than where you were before, you're scaling, you know, people want to see you with larger equipment. They want to see you show up with more rigged out cameras and bigger light setups. They want to be impressed. They want to know, like, okay, I spent X amount of dollars. I know I got my money worth because this and that and these massive things that they see, which they really don't understand, but they trust you a little bit more when you have these things. So like I said, it sounds a little shallow, but you have to understand this is a part of the game. So don't rush yourself and don't scale too quickly with a camera of this magnitude if you don't necessarily need to. Like I said, go back and watch some comparison videos. My favorite camera is the A7S III. I know a lot of guys who shoot A7 IVs, A7R series, just different things for video, but I can't really give you too much information on those. I know everything that, you know, Sony puts out, I think has a great picture, but some are better than others. So go back and watch some comparison videos, especially comparison videos between the S3 and the FX6, and you'll be surprised at what the picture is. So if you can save a couple bucks, save a couple bucks, which will actually be a couple thousand. So that's more than a couple bucks. So if you can save a couple thousand, early in your career or in the state of your career where you're in between and you haven't necessarily scaled yet, save that bread every time. I'm gonna tell you, every time, save that bread, you know, and do it when you're ready, do it when it feels right. Do it to where when you do it, it's not like a massive jump to where you're just liquidating your account and, you know, you just broke. Be smart about it and take your time. I've been doing this for a long time, and I just now got my FX6. It was no rush for me. It was just time for me, and that's the difference. So evaluate, you know, the time that you're willing to spend with a mirrorless camera and scaling up to an actual cinema camera. So if you have time on set in between to change these ND filters, if you have time to plug the audio in straight into the board and you're not worried about those certain type of things, or you're not necessarily filming, you know, big events and corporate events and things of that magnitude that require the look for this, don't get it. But if you are transitioning into that space and you are entering these rooms, or even if you feel like, yo, this year I want to be in those rooms and it's affordable and it makes sense for you, then maybe the time is now to transition. You know, some of the best ways to push yourself is just to jump out on a limb and have faith. So if you have faith that this will bring you more money and allow you to be seen, then skim down on that FX6, man. I want to see y'all with one. I want to see everyone with one. I feel like it's a trophy for us Sony shooters in a sense, to where it's like, oh wow, you did your big one. You know what I'm saying? You went big boy on them. So that's definitely the feeling, but take it with a grain of salt. When it's your time, it's your time. And if it's not your time to get an FX6, do not rush it. There are a lot of other pieces of equipment and other things you can be doing to scale your business versus then going for the look when you're not ready. So that's really it, guys. That's my opinion on if you should get the FX6 in 2025. I hope I was able to help some creators out there and just give an honest perspective on how I feel like the camera can help you and when you actually need to scale to this camera. So if you don't mind, guys, please like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'll be dropping more videos this year. I'm testing myself to be more consistent, and so far so good, and I feel good about it. So leave me some feedback. Let me know how you guys are feeling about your FX6 and what cameras that you do have now and you're thinking about scaling to a FX6. So maybe we can have some conversations in the comments about where you guys are looking to take it, and we could swap advice. But other than that, thank you guys. I'll see you next time.